بسم الله. بيس ميكر سيلز عندنا هسه الاس اي نود والاي في نود وبيركنجي المهم وبندل رايت وليفت بندل برانش. خلي يقول لك the heart continue to beat even after all nerves to it are sectioned. حلو. This happened because of specialized pacemaker tissue B cell that make up the conduction system of heart. These cells are found in SA and AV node and also his of Purkinje system. Pacemaker cell exhibit automaticity اللي هي ability to depolarize spontaneously and rhythmicity the ability to maintain regular discharge rate. Normally atrial and ventricular myocardial cells do not have pacemaker ability and they only discharge spontaneously when injured. الأتريال والventricular discharge spontaneously only when injured. There are however latent pacemaker in other parts of the conduction system that can take over when conduction from the SA and AV node is blocked. However, latent pacemaker in other part of conduction system can take over when conduction from SA and AV node is blocked. يقول slow response action potential. قلنا هسه نيتشه الخلايا مال الهارت اللي هي مو البيس ميكر، لا البعث الثانية ذيتشه بيها رابد response action potential. هذا الاكشن potential مال البيس ميكر هو slow. The action potential produced when a pacemaker cell depolarized spontaneously is called slow response action potential. figure 14.5 هذا حلو. هذا اللي هو يختلف عن rapid response action potential. The most negative potential reached just before depolarization is called maximum diastolic potential, which is only 60 يعني سالب 60 ملي فولت compared with سالب 90 اللي هو resting membrane potential بالmyocardial muscle cell. The reason for this is that pacemaker cell membrane are permeable to sodium ion in their resting state. مو مثل ديكه. اوكي. Phases اللي هي هنا can be identified in slow response action potential which corresponding superficially to some phases of rapid response action potential, although the underlying event differ. هسه ليش بدأ رأسا phase 4 restoration of ionic gradient and resting state؟ شنو يعني؟ مهم. This cell does not maintain stable resting membrane potential, but instead depolarize spontaneously because of its increased membrane permeability to cation during this phase. Sodium and calcium slowly leak into the cell, although potassium diffuse out simultaneously يعني على التوالي. During this phase, the inward leak of sodium predominate to cause the membrane potential to gradually increase until threshold potential is reached, approximately ناقص 40. This property is called spontaneous diastolic depolarization or pacemaker automaticity and is directly related to the positive slope اللي هو phase 4. شوف هنا يبدي بphase 4 رأسا، نوب 0 نوب 3 نوب 4. حلو. هنا المخطط بالphase 4 شي يصير؟ يطب الصوديوم، 0 يطب الكالسيوم، هذا يطلع البوتاسيوم، وهكذا. هذا المخطط. phase 0 اللي هو rapid depolarization. rapid depolarization occur at threshold potential and mainly due to calcium influx. شوف calcium influx. through transient T-type calcium channel, transient or T-type calcium channel, which are slower than the rapid sodium channel responsible for phase 0 in myocardial cell action potential. جاي يقارن لك بديج. زين. The slope of phase 0 is therefore less steep than in rapid action potential case. شوف. The phase 0 slope is in this cell is also reduced because of onset at a less negative onset at less negative transmembrane potential. اوكي. phase 3 اللي هو repolarization هنشوفه. هذا in the slow response, repolarization is effectively a single phase equivalent to phase 3 in the rapid response. Effectively, phase 1 is absent and phase 2 is very brief, resulting in absence of plateau effect. Difference between pacemaker and myocardial cell action potential. Pacemaker action potential have the following features which differ from those of myocardial cells. Less negative phase 4 membrane potential. less negative يعني ذاك سالب 90 هذا سالب 40. less negative threshold potential. Spontaneous depolarization in phase 4 و less steep slope in phase 0 dependence on T-type calcium channel و absence of phase 2 اللي هو plateau phase. هاي الفروقات. ion channels and action potential. Action potential show their basic characteristic to مو show O يعني to voltage control change in membrane permeability to different ion. The main ion concerned are potassium, sodium and calcium, whose membrane permeability are dependent on various type of ion diffusion channel. The basic ion diffusion channel is described in chapter 10. Okay. These ion channels have been described in vitro by controlling and varying membrane potentials in different ion solution. Using technique called batch clamping, different channel can then be identified by the change in current produced as a channel open and close according to their control potential. Some of these channels are outlined in figure 14-6. خلينا نشوفها. rapid response ventricle slow response اللي هو البيس ميكر. بالفيز زيرو الصوديوم fast channel with M activation and H inactivation gate. Phase 1, 2, 3 potassium. Phase 2, 3, 4 potassium. 2, 3, 4 potassium. Phase 2 calcium. بالسلو calcium sodium. Phase 0 phase 4. Okay. Automaticity of pacemaker cell. Automaticity is the ability of pacemaker cell to maintain a spontaneous rhythm and is dependent mainly on the leakage of sodium into cell in phase 4 of action potential. This occurs via specific sodium channel which are activated when the membrane potential has become hyperpolarized. مثال عندما reach a value of approximately ناقص 50 millivolt during repolarization. These channels then allow inward hyperpolarization current which commence the spontaneous depolarization of phase 4. The sodium current is aided to small extent by overlap of the decaying rapid depolarization calcium current and opposed by extracellular diffusion of potassium. Automaticity is dependent on slope of phase 4 of the action potential, which is influenced by automatic system and various drugs. نقرأ هذا الموضوع. Pacemaker discharge rate. Pacemaker discharge rate is controlled primarily by autonomic system. حلو. الريت من اللي يتحكم به autonomic system. This is discussed in further detail later. Okay. نفس الchapter. This control is mediated by change in action potential characteristic. The following characteristics are associated with variation of discharge rate. Slope of phase 4 in action potential. An increase in slope of phase 4 reduce the time to reach threshold potential during spontaneous depolarization and thus an increased pacemaker rate. Similarly, decrease in phase 4 slope result in slower pacemaker rate. Phase 4 slope can be varied by autonomic nervous system. حلو. السلوب بالفيس الرابع يتأثر بالautonomic nervous system. Threshold potential. If this become less negative, the pacemaker rate will decrease. حلو. Drugs such as quinidine and brokinidine have this effect. حلو. ذني يجن بالأسئلة الدرجات وخصوص هاي الموضوع يعني. Hyperpolarization potential. If hyperpolarization is increased, membrane potential becomes more negative. Okay. If hyperpolarization is increased, the membrane potential become more negative. Spontaneous discharge will take longer to reach threshold potential during phase 4 and the pacemaker rate will decrease. واضح؟ this occur when increase in acetylcholine level. حلو، جاي يربط لك ال vitally بالفيزيولوجي. هسه الموضوع اللي وراه conduction system anatomy.